Hi guys, a third of the way through Season 10 now, and we've just been playing Up and Down, released by Sega in 1983. This is a game that I initially didn't get, and didn't really enjoy, but after a few goes, it did begin to click with me, and I enjoyed it more. It can still be quite frustrating at times, but it is an enjoyable one. Controlling your speed and getting used to the jumps is key. Each stage does seem to add a few extra mechanics into the mix, with vehicles travelling towards you on stage 2 and the routes getting more complex. The game did see a few home ports, and there are a few people taking part who commented that they played the C64 version back in the day. So a game I'm glad we've had, but once again, probably not one I'll be returning to very often. Let's take a look at the scores. I've had 13 scores submitted, including returns from Charlie Farr and KMA, and a new entry from Ed Horse. Anyone who is a regular on Twitch will probably know Ed. He seems to be a mod on every channel I view. A token effort from him, but he promises to be back more in the future. He's propping up the table, along with KMA, who we heard from early on but didn't make a return. Above them, scores were generally pretty strong, as the game is far from easy. Milthy is in 11th, followed by 4 scores in the 40,000s, which is me in 7th, through to Bob in 10th. Paul is in 6th on 51,000, and Colin is in 5th with 66,000, both with decent gaps to those behind. Blue Yak has another strong performance here, finishing in 4th with 86,000. And then our top 3 are made of Graham in 3rd with an excellent 101,010. He was just pipped by MyRetroTech with 104,000. But this week's winner is maybe a one-off submission this season, and that's our top classic gamer, Charlie Farr. Anyone who tunes into Dave's Twitch will know he's a big fan of this game, so it's no surprise he's topping the table. He's very unlikely to make the 5-game minimum, so officially it will be MyRetroTech taking a well-deserved victory, with strong competition from Graham. Here is the distribution of the scores, and we can see our top 3 have all ended up in the same bin, showing whilst Dave was a chunk ahead, all 3 were a chunk ahead of everyone else. Both Blue Yak and Colin are together in the second bin, and then we have Paul and the guys in the 40,000s in the third bin. I think this shows it was a pretty competitive week on this far from easy game. Now the difficulty curve. There is an initial steep rise, showing time spent generally yields significant improvement. Beyond that, there is a bit of a plateau, with many people ending up in the 40 to 50,000 point bracket. At the top though, things begin to increase again, showing that the difficulty may begin to level off and bigger scores can be achieved. Finally, the progress over the week, and we can see that most of the action took place in the second week, with many submissions and score improvements. Early on, it was Colin putting in some decent scores, before Graham took the lead at around the halfway mark. A day or so later, and Dave dropped his score, never to be caught. His first was playing with the keyboard, and the second with the joystick. He could no doubt do more, but this was plenty for the win, with no one else having significant experience of the game here. Coming into the final days, it was close between Graham, Blue Yak and MyRetroTech. But after Graham dropped a 100,000 point score, it was MyRetroTech pipping him to the post in the final hours. As I said, he's the official winner this week, and will get his game selection trebled, with Dave being more of a guest appearance, but a guest we're always happy to have. So before we move on to our next game, let's review the table. There's been quite a bit of movement again, with another different winner. Paul is get ahead of Robert with his best score for a while. I'm up 2 after Juff sat this one out, and Retro Arcade Challenge got ahead of him too. Milthy is down 2 after a strong start, being jumped by Blue Yak, who is up into 4th, and MyRetroTech, who is up into 2nd spot, getting ahead of Colin too after this win. At the top though, it remains Graham leading, and the gap remains pretty much the same, although it's now to MyRetroTech rather than Colin last time. A 50-point deficit is significant, but not impossible to overcome. Let's now see what the next game is. I could go for something other than a Golden Age game this time. I've had 10 games sent to me, with only one being duplicated, which was versus balonfgt from both me and Retro Arcade Challenge. Our winner, MyRetroTech, chose Vimana, which is one of the less well-known Turtleplan games, so that's trebled. We've got some decent games here, so let's set things going and see what we get. Okay, slowing down. Could it be a versus balloon fight? I think it is. Okay, cool. And it's my choice too. So yeah, versus balloon fight is kind of Nintendo's take on Joust. Yeah, it's a fun one. I think it should be good for an arcade challenge. So yeah, I'll go make a video and be back in a sec. So our game beginning with V is Versus Balloon Fight, released by Nintendo in 1984. Obviously inspired by Williams' 1982 game Joust, you control a balloon fighter with an aim of defeating the other balloon fighters on the screen. The controls are the same as Joust, with the ability to move left and right and a button to flap, controlling your height. Holding up or down, I believe scrolls the screen a little, which can be useful. You need to complete the levels fairly quickly, as after a period of time, lightning clouds appear which try to shock you. The NES version was developed in parallel with the arcade, so although with the same inspiration, they are different games. The arcade version has more verticality, with scrolling levels. Like we had Dave playing last week, I'm hoping we'll get a token score from Luke, MR2Nut123, who is the arcade and main world record holder. We'll be using the BF4 A3 ROM, which is balonfgt.zip, and default settings as usual. For our next game, please send me one beginning with the letter W. Not the biggest selection here, but some good ones too. I'll probably go for Weltris, a 3D Tetris game from the original's creator, but with a different game mechanic to block out that we've played before. So I hope you'll enjoy playing some Versus Balloon Fight, and I'll be back in 2 weeks with the scores. See you then.